The covers are always a safe place in my bed. Everyone's out and I'm home alone. I slip between the covers, trying not to think bad thoughts. In complete darkness, I whisper to myself, "Is it stupid that I'm afraid?"
Don't worry, friend. They can't get us in here.
It whispers back. You're about to sleep, and you put your blanket on. One of your legs is freezing because it's not covered by the blanket. You're afraid of monsters touching your leg. So you cover it, and you pull the blanket to your head until it's completely covered. Under the blanket you sigh, until you notice it's already inside. As the first shovelful of dirt landed on my chest, I managed to whisper, "I'm not dead." At first, I thought they didn't hear me at all, but one of them smiled and said, "We know."
Aren't you afraid of the dark?
That was the last thing I heard before the light bulb shattered behind me. My closet door slid open with a creak, making me jump. I pretended his distraction had worked, and that I didn't see him crouched in the corner of my room. My daughter's smiling face greeted me from the driveway as I returned home from a long, hard day at work. Where's the rest of her? As I watched the sunset over the forest, my blood ran cold. I knew I had to find shelter quickly, or I wouldn't last the night. I was finishing a horror story, so I wrote the end. Then, my keyboard typed, "Is coming," completely by itself. "Mommy, my friend is coming over." My daughter happily cheered about her imaginary friend. Then the motion detection light went off. Don't look behind you. It doesn't like to be seen. She asked, why was I breathing so heavily? I wasn't. I said I would babysit my niece. That was before I met Stacy, her imaginary friend. No matter how many times we fight, my wife will always prepare my coffee in the morning. And this time, it didn't taste like almonds. When I smiled, he didn't smile back. Something is very wrong with this mirror. As a biologist, I love all my animals. But sometimes I wonder to myself if any of them still remember that they used to be human. Us being twins, my brother and I often share experiences and sensations. I only wish he warned me before getting open heart surgery. Yesterday, I wrote the number 69 on my wrist as a joke. Today it's 68, and it's not washing off. And I saw a severed arm in the dumpster. He gave me a thumbs up as I walked by. After all these years of research and hard work, we've finally done it. We'd made it contagious. That jerk gave me the middle finger. I swear, Your Honor. I don't know where the rest of the body is. The world was thrilled with the announcement that the first mission to Mars would be an all-female crew. 1 year later, the world was terrified when they all returned pregnant. My 4-year-old said he wished all the people would stop knocking. And I told him about doorbells. Then he asked me to install one on his window. Did you know there is no such thing as a left-handed person? There are your kind, and then there are those of us who escape from the other side of a mirror. I opened the door to a policeman who told me my wife died in a car crash on the way home. As I turned my head to see her eating the dinner I just served, she starts grinning at me. No matter how hard I struggle, I can't get free of these chains I was bound in. I only hoped they'd hold once the full moon comes out. I relive burying my friends from the war in my dreams, and I'm afraid to sleep. Not because of the night terrors, but because I wake up with scratches on my arm and dirt all over the floor. It's just a harmless mask on the wall, my mother tells me. It's easy for her to say, since it doesn't appear in her room every night. The spiders worked quickly to wrap their prey tightly with silk. The man's muffled screams grew fainter with each new layer. My brother and I used to knock on the walls at night because our rooms were next to each other. After I came back from the funeral, I still heard the knocking. I was on my way to school one morning when something in the woods caught my eye. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't get it back. I twisted and rolled in my bed. Then I froze as I saw something distinctly not human smiling at me through my window. My heart almost stopped when I noticed it was a reflection. I came home after my long week trip, and I took a shower. I pressed the only towel against my room against my face and discovered it was already wet. Alone in my room, I sneezed softly. "Bless you," someone said. We smiled proudly as our daughter went on her bus for her first day of school. Our hearts dropped when the real bus arrived 2 minutes later. I love diving into the deepest parts of the ocean where you can't even see the bottom. But this time, I can't see the surface either. It's been 315 days since the global outbreak. 187 days since I realized I might be the only survivor, and 3 days since the two of us found each other in the wreckage of the world and regained hope. I'd been alone for so long, I almost forgot that hallucinating imaginary companions is the first sign of infection. The world ending in 2012 wasn't a prophecy, it was a suggestion. We should have listened. But he's here now. It seemed like my essential oils and vitamins were starting to clear up my symptoms. There was no real need to tell the rest of the group I had been bitten. "You look like death," he said, brows furrowed with concern. A wide, crooked smile crossed my face, flattered to be recognized, as I hooked him with my scythe and pulled him downward into the abyss. A pandemic has wiped over 99% of humanity. But don't worry, it only spreads to those who know about it. As I watched the sun set from my villa in Paris, I received terrifying news from across the globe. the sun had set in New Zealand too. I love these clap lights. There's just one problem with them. When I clap to turn them on, something under my bed claps to turn them off. I heard screams echo all around me. I'm deaf. After I asked the crystal ball to tell me how to escape death, I was very confused as it read, "No thanks, honey, I'm full." However, something clicked in my head when my wife offered me a cake for dinner. Yesterday, I figured out how my curse worked. Apparently, only people in danger can see what I write. I think I might be the most successful serial killer in history. The best part is telling their loved ones we did everything we could. Punctuality has never been my strong suit. As I sit here and watch the last ship leave for New Earth, I wish it was. Spent 24 hours locked in an old insane asylum and win $1 million. So it's been 26 hours. Why is the door still locked? My brother and I sit down with a Ouija board, and we both place our hands on the planchette. He asks, "Cole, are you here with me?" I move the planchette to yes. All my life, my parents have told me to not open the basement door, but I got curious and disobeyed them. What is that glowing ball in the sky? And why does it hurt my eyes? My family can all remember their past lives, so one day I told my son I was a girl who was murdered. He grinned and responded, "What are the odds we'd meet again?" Being buried alive was bad enough. Realizing I wasn't alone in my own grave was worse. My blind date texted me that he'd finally arrived, and sorry for being 15 minutes late to pick me up. The issue was, we'd already been driving for 10 minutes. People always ask me how many kids come to my house for trick-or-treating. None of them have ever asked how many have left. I kept hearing a strange giggling coming from my TV, regardless of what channel or volume it was on. I never thought to check behind the TV. I'm not scared. I've been seeing missing posters for myself. It's the fact that the news is now saying that my body has been found. I recently taught myself Morse code, but I wish I hadn't. Now the birds peck out my window, warning me that it's coming. Our son always screams when he's having a haircut, we told the psychiatrist, hoping for guidance. Several tests later and doctors' guilt brought me to my knees when the genetic specialist described what was believed to be a unique condition. There were living nerve endings in the boy's hair. You know, they say once you become a murderer, you can tell who else has murdered. "He's innocent," I announced as I banged my gavel, dismissing the court. I woke up, got myself a drink of water, and returned to get back into bed. There I was, still laying there, my face blue and my hollow eyes staring off into the distance. Out of breath, I sat in front of the hall knowing I was safe, as the Fae could not enter my home without an invitation. Imagine my surprise when the creature burst through the door, a sneer on its face and my welcome mat in its hands.